Welcome everyone. We're here for the Society of Thoracic Surgeons General Thoracic Surgery Database monthly webinar for Wednesday, January 13th, 2021. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you guys are having a good New Year thus far. In terms of the agenda today, same agenda as always. We all have our welcome and introductions. I have a few STS updates, then we'll turn things over to IQVIA. And then we'll end things with your user feedback. Please be sure to include your ticket number if you have any support related questions. Also, please be sure to put your questions or comments into the Q&A function, not the chat. Again, just please be sure to utilize that Q&A function for your questions and comments. On the call with me today from STS, we have myself, we've got, let's see here, we've got Carol Crone, we've got Emily Conrad, Addie Dolan, Jane Hahn. I think that's it from the STS side. From the IQVIA side, we've got Rhonda, Jeanette, Jean, Joe, Melanie, our usual suspects. And then from the core group, we have Ruth Raleigh and Melissa Clark representing today. All right, let's see here. All right, to get started, just a quick plug for STS AQO for 2020. Again, if you were not able to participate or not able to make this year's AQO, please note that the digital archive is available for purchase. So AQO 2020 is still available for access and purchase. For this year up until our next AQO, which will be happening in Denver. Fingers crossed, it will be an in-person meeting in Denver this year. So again, this 2020 AQO is still available for purchase, and you can access that via the link below at the bottom of the slide. Also, actually, before I start with the important dates, just also a friendly reminder, the annual meeting is coming up the end of this month. I believe it's January 29th through the 31st. So if your surgeons have not already done so, please encourage them to go ahead and get registered for this year's annual meeting. Again, that annual meeting is happening January 29th through the 31st. All right, for important dates for general thoracic, on January 27th, we'll have our very first general thoracic upgrade webinar. After that, next we have January, February, we have our spring and fall 2020 analysis results. We're hoping they'll be available definitely sooner rather than later. Just thank you guys very much for your patience while we're working to get this data available to you. We realize that this delay is not ideal. It's not helpful, and just please know that we are working to get this data to you as quickly as possible. STS, DCR, and IQVIA are all working together to make this happen. And just please know that moving forward for like the spring 2021 harvest results, we're not anticipating this type of delay. So again, please, just be patient with this. And again, thank you for your patience while we're all working very hard to get this data available for you. Our next monthly webinar is scheduled for February the 10th. And then we have our second upgrade webinar on February 24th. March 5th is the close for the spring 2021 harvest. So be sure to get your data in for the spring 2021 harvest. I get tongue-tied saying that. Again, that spring 2021 harvest will be, we'll have a reporting period up through 12/31/2020. On March 9th, that is the last day to opt out of that particular harvest. So please be sure to get your opt-outs in by March 9th. In late March, we'll have our general thoracic public reporting available. And then summer 2021, you can expect the results for the spring 2021 harvest. All right, for my STS updates, just wanted to give some more information on the upgrade webinars that I just mentioned. So again, the data version 5.21 is set to go live July 1st, 2021. So in about 6 months, 5 to 6 months. The data specs, again, were sent to the vendors December 2020, just before the holidays. And again, the upgrade webinars are scheduled to begin on January the 27th. We'll be utilizing the user group calls. So again, we'll be using these user group calls for the upgrade webinars. They will occur monthly from January through June. Just We do encourage all of our data managers and any staff that will be extracting data to attend these webinars. If you're not able to attend, just know that they all will be recorded and posted on the STS webinar page to go back and review. We do plan to have the new data collection form posted. The data collection forms be posted by January 27th, just prior to our first upgrade webinar. Also, I wanted to point out that STS will be creating on-save checks to be implemented into your software with this new version. So by this we mean, just a quick example, when you're completing or entering your data, we'll be checking for OR entry and exit times just to make sure they're not consistent, so you can't enter that data or save that record with those inconsistent times. Same thing for surgery date greater than discharge date, or if you're trying to enter mortality date, and if it's less than the discharge date, you would get some type of a message saying that these were inconsistent and wouldn't allow you to save that record or enter that data inconsistently. Also, if you all, Carol and I are actually working, and IQVIA, we're working to get these on save and consistency edits and checks into the software. If you have any type of clinical checks that you are aware of that you would possibly like to see while you're entering data, please feel free to share those with me as soon as possible, so we can review those and hopefully get those incorporated into the software. You just want to make sure we're not missing anything, but if there's any type of clinical check in particular that you would like to see added, again, just feel free to share that with me. You can put it into the Q&A. Feel free to get that to us as soon as possible so we can review those and hopefully get those incorporated. Also, we are beginning work on the training manual. That development is underway. Carol and I are working hard and the core group will be working to revamp the current format of the training manual. We know that document is just huge, and it's not very helpful in the way that the questions and the FAQs are being presented. So we will be revamping that format. So if you have any suggestions, again, I've always, please feel free to pass those along to me. We just want to make sure that document is very useful for you and it works the best for you and gives you the information you need quickly, instead of having to scroll and look through so many questions. I'm looking at the way that the adult cardiac training manual is currently the format of the adult cardiac training manual. I know that's been very helpful, and the adult cardiac data managers are very pleased with that, and they like that format, and that seems to work very well. So we're hoping to build upon that and just to make this 5.21 training manual a lot more user-friendly. So before I turn things over to IQVIA, I just wanted to share the data collection form and basically just take a few moments just to give you an idea of what the upgrade webinars will look like. So hold on, give me just a second. So let me pull over the 5.21 data collection form. Sorry, it's all the way up at the end. So this is the data collection form for the new version for 5.21. When the data collection form is posted, you'll see fields that will have a blue highlight. Those would be added fields, and you'll see. So Carol, I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. The new data collection form, it will highlight the new fields, is that correct?
Yeah, we'll post a couple different versions. We'll have one that's totally clean.
Yep.
And we'll have one with the blue and green, which is new fields are moved within the data collection form. We didn't post the one for adult cardiac with the fields deleted just because we didn't want to cause confusion with trying to read that, but we can certainly, that will be another version that we'll use in the review process when we have the upgrade review calls. So folks can see the fields that were also removed. I know that they liked that. They like seeing that. So we'll use both of those versions for the upgrade process, but we usually don't post. We probably won't post the yellow one with the deleted fields. Yeah.
Right. And so again, Thank you, Carol. I was having a moment there.
Oh,
Um,
you're doing awesome, Leanne.
So again, this is the data collection form. Your vendors do have this data collection form, but I know several of you have reached out to the vendors to see if they could send this to you. We have instructed the vendors to please not to share this data collection form that was sent to them. There may be some additional minor changes that need to be made prior to posting. So again, this data collection form, the final version will be posted just prior to our upgrade webinars that'll begin at the end of January.
Yeah. A couple things to note on the form is the blue fields are the added fields. You'll see the double asterisks. Those are the risk model variable fields. So we will mark those, and those will be included for posting. Those will be included on the forms that are posted. And then the green fields are fields that were moved within. And we'll go through the data collection form section by section and probably variable by variable. We'll take questions. We'll have the core group members on with us to assist with answering those, and surgeon, if the surgeons are available, we'll definitely include them in the upgrade call if they can make it to answer any questions that we're not able to answer within our group.
Great, thank you. And then I also wanted to just pull over, and in regards to the what Carol was speaking against, the one with all the changes. This is the type of data collection version that we'll be using on the upgrade calls, where we'll have, the blue, the fields added, the green, the fields moved, and then these are the yellow, which is the fields that were moved, the things that were removed from the previous version. So just to give you an idea of what the data collection form will look like when we're on the upgrade webinars. So you can, so it's just an idea to give you guys an idea of how that particular data collection form and what it'll look like. And
yeah, the reason why we don't want to post it is, as you can see, Leanne, if you stop here, under this history of cardiopulmonary disease as an example, where you'll see hypertension, we crossed out the red lettering, which is this short name and sequence number. Hypertension is still going to be a choice, but these fields will become multi-select fields instead of individually selecting the fields. So we lose the short name and sequence number. It'll become a harvest code under an overall short name and sequence number. So there can be confusion here if we post this form and people aren't quite sure how to read it and or read it incorrectly about what fields were removed or added. So we just want to try to avoid confusion as much as possible.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. And just so you're all aware, Carol and I will be your hosts for these upgrade webinars. She'll be there to guide us. Since she's been through this with the adult cardiac, she's a pro. So that is.
If I share my screen real fast, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about regarding the on-save checks.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Because I pulled these up. Okay, so I think you can see. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the on-save checks, like what Leanne was talking about, those were your in DCRI. They were called your edits and checks. In IQVIA, they are things that pop up as warnings or errors or critical errors. And right now, what's in IQVIA is this validation checklist, which is these 63 checks that they have in place, and it has all the, all the logic applied to them, and things like if admission status is required and you leave it blank, it's going to flag some type of error, and it has what fields they check on, things like that. So we have a couple different here. We'll be reviewing these and adding more in. One of the major parts that we will probably be adding in, that we're still under discussion with IQVIA about the best way to do it, and we had received quite a bit of feedback, was when the primary procedure is not coded correctly, how can we help sites identify that? So we came up with some draft logic that will help identify. So if you have lung cancer at 1580 is yes, but your primary procedure is not lung cancer, it's likely inconsistent. If esophageal cancer is yes and lung cancer is no, but primary procedure is not esophageal cancer, this is inconsistent. So we worked with the surgeons. We came up with some type of scoring, and then to make it a little bit easier for coding, kind of grouped things together. So these are the types of checks that we're looking for. If you have anything additional into these types of checks, and then also related to if lung cancer is yes, but no lung cancer code is found in PRAC ID 14 in PRAC 1490, then of course this is probably inconsistent. So not a history of lung cancer, but this would be if lung cancer, if this lung cancer 1580 was yes, but you never coded a lung cancer procedure, then that would be an inconsistency. So these are the types of things that we'll be adding into this version to help the sites, and it'll probably show up as, some type of error. We haven't finalized that with IQVIA, but we are working on how best to do that. So if you have any additional thoughts about what can help you clean up your data, either at the vendor side, so these the checks in this Excel spreadsheet will be applied, some at the vendor side, some just at IQVIA, and we can definitely want to hear your thoughts on those. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that, because the consistency checks really help at the time of data entry, so you don't get these very long DQRs or missing variable reports or what have you back from IQVIA, and you have to spend hours cleaning up data. We'd rather help you do it on the front end. So,
Sure.
So that's all I got, Leanne. Thanks.
Thanks, Carol. All right. Am I sharing my screen? Hold on, let me share my screen back. Right. All right, and you should be able to see my screen. All right, next, that's all that we have from the STS side of things. So we'll turn things over to IQVIA for their update for today.
Great, thanks, Leanne. Good afternoon, everyone. Just a few updates from us today. A couple items that were released on December 30th, a couple weeks ago, for the missing variable report, STS 3924. The patient alive at 90 days post-procedure variable was being flagged as missing when it had not yet been 90 days since the surgery date. So we have applied logic so that shouldn't be flagged against you until the 90 days has passed. And then in regards to direct data entry, specifically for those of you who are direct data entry users, we did change the validation for the when the TIN field is missing to just a warning message rather than an error, which will allow you to complete your forms even when the TIN is not entered. All right, and then one more item, fix that went in last week on January 5th, STS 5201. We did resolve an issue where the total records column of the critical summary report was not matching the number of records that were uploaded. So we did identify the cause of that issue, and those critical summary reports should now reflect the appropriate numbers. All right, and then just to note on the next slide that, so if you did have tickets that you've opened that we didn't discuss today, just please know that we are looking into all items that have been reported to us. If you want an update, please respond to your ticket and your agent will look into it and provide that for you. We are looking into additional items that have been reported. So once we have a list of items that will be released later this month, those will be posted to your notifications section for review. And that's all I had today.
Great, thank you so much, Joe. Next, we'll turn things over to, I think, Rhonda wanted to do a quick demo for the risk adjusted and benchmark dashboard. I know we've gone over this before, but I do like for Rhonda to provide a little bit of a demo, because I do get questions a lot of times from newer participants, or from participants in general, on how to navigate through the dashboard and everything. So I'm going to turn things over to Rhonda for her portion.
Yep, thank you. I will share my screen real quick and dive right in. So, all right. Is my screen up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So I will keep this short and sweet. But once you log into the report, you will see your operational reports page, and then there will be this new option for the GTSD risk adjusted dashboard report. And then clicking that link will take you into, I'm in my test, let me back up. I'm in my test environment right now. And so this environment runs a little slower. So I have things kind of queued up so that way we don't have to spend a lot of time waiting for the things to load. But once you get to your operational reports and you click on your GTSD risk adjusted dashboard report link, the report will open up like this, and you will be on the landing page where you'll see all of your risk adjusted reports. So broken down by you have the lung cancer reports, the esophageal cancer reports, the section for other reports where you'll have missing data, number of operations, and primary procedure operative mortality report. And then off to the far right here are the benchmark reports category. And then what you'll see below is the legacy reports category, which both of these are your benchmark reports. It's just after having reviewed this with the surgeon leadership, it was decided that it made more sense to include just these 4 under the actual benchmark reports category, and then move these other 5 down here under the legacy reports. But these all are benchmark reports. So navigating through each one of these areas will have a similar feeling. And by that, I mean, so I'll, for example, go into this excision of I will mess this word up, but I'll go into this first one here.
Mediastinal.
Mediastinal, yep.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Uh-huh.
So going into that first area there, you'll see we now have this secondary benchmark, the secondary homepage, which is our benchmark report homepage. And you have these different areas here that you can navigate to. And going into any one of these reports will open up that report. And once you're in the report, what you'll see is you have these next and back buttons that navigate you to the other areas without having to go back to that main benchmark homepage. So you're able to move around within this report without having to go back a step. Once you're in the report, you'll see I'm on mortality and length of stay. So I have those variables that apply to that area. And for those of you that work within the non-analyzed dashboard, you'll find that there is alignment between what you see here and what you see in that report as far as categories and how things are laid out. You have the graph up top and the table at the bottom. And within the graph, you have this drop down here that provides to you all of the different categories that you see below here in the table. So you can view your data tabularly, or you can view it within this graph here by simply clicking into the next one and the graph would refresh. Again, the next button will take me to that next report area, which was quality measures. And so clicking next, I now am at my quality measures. And again, I have my tabular view down here and then my graphical view up top. There is also the slider bars that if there were values that you wanted to hone in on because you want to see that a little better, you can use this to slide your data up and down and really focus in on those numbers. And then also for those who maybe you want to just snip out a part where you're just looking at a few of the x-axis options, maybe I just want to see those two, you can also use your bottom slider to make those adjustments. As you're seeing, I right click on the bar and reset zoom, and that takes everything back to 0. Also exiting the report and coming back in also resets that back to 0 so that you can come back to your original view. Within the table, we have within My Site, any of the values that you click on in the My Site area, by clicking that value and then going up here to see details, you would be taken to another page where the details of this 25%, as I'm clicking here, the patient details for that would be listed in that detailed page. And if you had any questions about your data or you wanted to confirm things, you could click that, see details, and see all of the patients that made up that value. Again, there is a benchmark homepage. If I wanted to come back and quickly navigate to another area, I can hit that benchmark homepage, and then I would be taken back here. Then something else I wanted to show you. So up here in these benchmark reports, there are these sections. But down here in these other reports, so all esophagectomies, all segmentectomies, what you'll see is there's this extra category that you've also seen in the non-analyzed dashboard. So I'm in all esophagectomies, so I have now this esophageal cancer button that's available to me and gives you some further information about that, in that case, all esophagectomies. And then here in all segmentectomies, there is the lung cancer button that gives you more details about that as it relates to the segmentectomies. That is the, that's the gist of the benchmark reports. Lastly, again, we've, talked about the export button before as it relates to the risk adjusted reports. And now we also include the benchmark reports. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. And now we also include the benchmark reports in that export. So by clicking this button, all of the details across all of these pages will be pulled together for you in one PDF package, similar to the paper report that you used to receive. So if that's a better way to just view the report, even you don't want to maybe click around in here and you'd rather have that packet to quickly tab through, log in, hit export report, and you'll have that PDF available to you, and you can also view your data that way. That's all I had to go through today. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Rhonda. We appreciate it.
Hey, Leanne.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, it's Melanie. I just wanted to also point out, and thanks, Rhonda, that was an awesome demo. The overview for the report will be available in the library. So all of that, what you're used to in the previous PDF report, where you had the report overview, that information will be available once the report is published, so that you have that to go to correspond with the report as you're reviewing it.
And this is Jeanette, just to chime in as well, just because of some questions that are popping up in the Q&A. So this report is not currently available in your operational reports list. If you don't see it right now, that's okay. It doesn't indicate a problem. It will be coming, we hope, very soon. We've been working through some iterative reviews with DCRI to make sure that all of the data is there for you and appearing as expected.
Great. Thank you, Jeanette and Melanie. Appreciate it very much. Yep. And again, we are, like Jeanette said, we're working to get that data to you as quickly as possible. The last slides, again, these are slides you guys are all familiar with. Again, just our usual plea to please include your 5-digit participant ID when contacting IQVIA support as well as STS. So again, just please be sure to include that participant ID number when you are contacting support. Again, here's just a list of resources available to you out on the STS website as well as IQVIA. My contact information, please feel free to reach out to me at ljones@sts.org, or feel free to contact me via phone. At any time you have any questions, need anything, if you're not sure who to contact regarding a specific question, just please feel free to reach out to me, and then I can work with you to get you in touch with the appropriate staff person to get your questions answered. When the reports do go live, I just wanted to report out, just to remind everyone, when reports do go live for the benchmark and risk adjusted results, your surgeons will have access, or should have access, to the dashboard. When that time comes that they go to log in, they don't have access or having issues accessing the dashboard, don't remember their username, password, all that fun stuff, please reach out to us at stsdb@sts.org, and we can assist your surgeons with their access to the dashboard. Again, just a quick slide with our next webinars. January 27th at 2:30 Central, we have our first upgrade webinar for version 5.21. And then February 10th, we have our next monthly webinar at 1:30 Central Time. All right, that's all that I have for today. We'll turn things over to you guys for the Q&A. I see a few questions in the Q&A. Also, I did want to remind everyone, in regards to FAQs that have been submitted, we have our core group call tomorrow. So we will be tackling FAQs tomorrow, clinical questions. So once our call is over tomorrow, I will be getting responses out to those clinical questions. So we do appreciate your patience. And again, we will be tackling those tomorrow. All right, let's see here. We've got a few questions in the Q&A, so I'll go ahead and start with those. My first one for Mary, in the past for data entry, there was an option for no to all variables for complications. Would it be possible to add that button to the IQVIA direct data entry?
Well, I'd like to take this one.
Okay.
I'd like to take this one, Leanne. This is Carol.
It's all yours, Carol. Take away.
Sure. So the select no, or the make everything no, is actually something that STS does not prefer in the vendor software. We want each of those complications to be reviewed within your EHRs and answered yes or no. So actually a select no for all is not something we would prefer. I'm happy and I think we should probably discuss that with the vendors as well. For data integrity, we really prefer that each complication is reviewed within the chart and a no is purposely selected for those.
Thank you, Carol. All right, thank you. My next question from Barb, please confirm all risk-adjusted benchmark reports, spring and fall by year, will be retained in our operational reports folder. IQVIA.
So the operational reports with access to the risk adjusted and benchmark reports will be available starting with Harvest 1 2020, and they will remain available for all harvests that are processed and analyzed on this platform. They will not go away after some period of time. The next question I saw did mention legacy reports. So we just do want to mention that at this time, the reports prior to those 2020 harvests, those will not be available on this platform at this time.
Correct. And if you, just to further elaborate on that, if you do need access or do need a legacy report, please email us at stsdb@sts.org, and we can assist with access to a legacy report. Okay. Our next question, do you have a more specific time frame for the availability of the risk adjusted and benchmark dashboards? Hi, Mary. Not at this time, I don't have a specific date. There's just no way I can give a specific date. We are working very, very hard to have that data available. Ideally, we'd love to have it out by the end of January. Sorry. So we are working very hard to get that data out to you as quickly as possible. I wish I could give you a more specific date, but I just don't have that available. So I don't have any other questions. Is there anything from STS or IQVIA side that you guys would like to share with the group? I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
No, I was just wondering, Ruthie, Mary Lowe's question regarding the wedge resection that turned out not to be cancer. Would you like to talk more about that? Because this is one of the areas where we have quite a few questions related to what goes into the database and what doesn't go into the database. And I've seen this exact question come through a couple of times.
Sure, yeah. So the question specifically was, is a case considered analyzed if it's i.e. a wedge resection for cancer, but it turns out not to be cancer? Do I still abstract it and send it in? So under the current version, you would not need to abstract that case and send it in. It's very likely that the procedure would be coded as a diagnostic wedge resection. How I manage my abstraction is I usually start by looking at my pathology report, because if my pathology report doesn't show lung cancer, I would hate to abstract all of the beginning data points and get to the part where I enter the path and find out that I didn't even need to enter any of the case at all and just throw it in the trash. I've done that a few times and learned from the error of my ways. So start with your pathology. If it's not lung cancer, if it's not esophageal cancer, then you do not need to enter the case.
Right. Thank you, Ruth. And just for a few, that's going to hold true for the next version as well. So that will not be, that will not be a change moving into version 5.21. That'll still hold true. Also, just one thing I did want to point out in regards to the new version, the data collection form. I know in the past, there were 2 data collection forms that were posted for the general thoracic database. You had your major procedure form, and then a non-analyzed, like a minor procedure form only. With this new version, there will only be 1 data collection form. We will not have 2 separate data collection forms. That caused a lot of confusion in the past. So there will be 1 data collection form moving forward for version 5.21 and beyond. So I just wanted to clarify that. Let's see, we do have a question. This is a comment from Linda. I hear your concern with saying no to all post-op events, Carol. However, if a data manager answers all the post-op events that apply to a patient and then has the option to answer all the other post-op events no, it is a nice time saver.
Yeah, but that would require that there's an option to answer everything as no. So we want each question answered individually.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've cleaned it up with this version, so it's not as tedious with the number of clicks that you have to do. And we'll go over that. I certainly understand what you're saying, and we want to use the data manager's time wisely, but we also want to make sure that we have ensured the integrity of the database, specifically in the complications and risk factors section.
All right. Our next question from Tammy, will we be able to collect data on lobectomies that aren't for cancer on 521? And the answer to that is yes. You just wouldn't submit it for analysis. It wouldn't be analyzed. It wouldn't be used in analysis if it's not lung cancer. All right. And then Carol, Mary was just, I believe there's more room for error if each question has to be clicked individually, creates more opportunity for entry error. Okay. Let's see.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute, Leanne. Actually, in the database world, that's not true. Having to look at each answer and looking at each question and having to select a response ensures that we have more accurate data than just the select no where questions could be skipped. This recommendation comes from our statisticians at DCRI.
Yep. Exactly. The statisticians do not like to assume anything. They want you to answer each question. All right. Let's see. I am not seeing any additional questions come in. If no one has anything else to add, I just want to make sure I'm respectful of everyone's time. I have about 10 after 3 Eastern time. I'm not seeing anything else. If no one else has anything to add, I just want to thank everyone for joining today, and be sure and mark your calendars for the next webinars. We look forward to walking through that new data collection form, the new version 5.21 with you. So thank you all for joining today, and we will see you on the 27th for our very first general thoracic upgrade webinar. Thank you everyone for joining. I appreciate it.
Great, thanks Leanne, great job. Thanks everybody.
Thanks everyone. Thanks IQVIA.